Hello. Like a misunderstood Otto von Bismarck, this is the Discriminating Gamer. What? I said we needed a German umpire for the baseball game, not start a war. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of ethnic stereotypes, today we're going to take a look at legendary Big Trouble in Little China from Upper Deck. Legendary Big Trouble in Little China from Upper Deck is, of course, the latest iteration of the Legendary system. Now, this is not a Legendary Encounters game like Alien or Predator or the recently released Firefly. This actually plays a bit more like the original Marvel version of Legendary. I'll kind of get into that a little bit more. But if you want to know kind of the basics of how you play the Legendary game, I recommend you go back to Season 1, Episode 5 of The Discriminating Gamer, when we actually discuss Legendary, the deck building game, and you get kind of a feel for exactly what's going to go on here. This game is based on the 1986 John Carpenter film Big Trouble in Little China, starring Kurt Russell, Kim Cattrall, and it's very, very, very fun, very zany, very crazy movie, and it's one of those things that you're kind of wondering, does it lend itself well to a Legendary game? Well, let's take a look. Now, you have masterminds, just like you do in the Marvel Legendary game. You have masterminds that have tactic cards that you've got to try to defeat. And these are, of course, the Sorcerer Lo Pan and his various minions that are the masterminds in these games. You also have the scheme that you got to play. There are various schemes that you set up there, just like in the Marvel Legendary. You have the villains decks and you have the hero decks. Now, of course, you've got the starter cards. They've got the recruit and the power, the strength on them. You also get mediocre hero cards. And mediocre hero cards, they're cards that are slightly better than the starter cards, but still they're not amazing cards. Now, the various heroes that are going to come out in the game, of course, you've got Eddie, you've got Egg Shen, you've got Margot, and of course, you've got Jack Burton. You got a lot of these guys here. And what you're going to do is, of course, mix that together. The heroes are going to come out, and then, of course, you've got the villain decks and the henchman decks and all those goodies that you put together, again, a lot like in the Marvel game. Now, the cards are coming at you face up, and you have to, of course, use your cards to either recruit heroes or to fight the bad guys. Now, what this kind of version brings to the game as far as new mechanics and new ideas over the original Marvel game, couple of things. First of all, you have two spaces, the streets and the rooftops, I recall, that are considered to be Chinatown. And in Chinatown, there are certain cards you're going to play that say Chinatown, if something's in Chinatown or something does in Chinatown, you kind of interact with those two spaces on the board. And that's kind of one way this game is kind of different. And there's two spaces on the board that are very unique for the game purposes. You also have some of the fun things like Egg Shen. You can actually flip coins, so make sure you have a quarter handy when you play this game, because if you play some of the Egg Shen stuff, you flip a coin to determine, like, well, do I get the attack value of him, or do I get the recruit value of him? And stuff like that's going to matter. So, like I say, bring a quarter when you play the game. And this game also has kind of the Showdown Tournament at the end of the game. Now, if you... I think in the original Marvel, there's a variant for this. In this one, it's how you play the game. Now, over the course of the game, it's cooperative, but of course you're gaining the points, individual points for an individual victory. What you do is at the very end of the game, after you've defeated the mastermind 4 times, which is victory in Marvel, here, then you have a showdown. You just play all the cards in your hand, you add up all your recruit, all your attack. Whoever has the most points gets the actual mastermind card itself, which has a printed point value, a big printed point value, and then you go ahead, and whoever has the most points, of course, is the ultimate winner of this legendary Big Trouble in Little China game. Now, also, too, unlike some of the earlier Marvel Legendary games, this one has no solo variant. The Marvel games you can play by yourself. This one specifically says you can't. If you want to try, you can kind of mix in some of the rules from the Marvel game, but it said it's not fundamentally designed for solo play. This is designed to be played by multiple players. But, again, there's wounds in this game, just like there is in the Marvel game. Like I say, villains coming at you face up, and you're not playing avatars here. It's just you investing in the game just the way you invest in Marvel. It plays very, very similar to Marvel, and so this is, again, not an Encounters version. This is just the legendary Big Trouble in Little China game. So what do I think of legendary Big Trouble in Little China? Well, let me say first of all, I really enjoyed this movie. I hadn't seen it in years, so after I played the game the first time, I had to go home and watch the movie again. And I remember just what a fun movie that is. I really, really, really liked that that movie. I think it's just a lot of fun. And so when they first announced this, I'm thinking, now how do you take Big Trouble in Little China and make really any kind of tabletop game out of it, but especially a legendary game? It just I didn't think it would work. But then I'm thinking, well, the guys at Upper Deck are so innovative, of course they'll come up with something. And it's really quite interesting to see how they made it work and how they make the masterminds and how, the various abilities for cards and stuff. So it's fun. It's of course a standalone game, but it almost feels like you're playing an expansion to the Marvel game, because though there are some mechanical differences here and there and a few other kind of fun and interesting things, it feels a lot like the Marvel game. So the question is, I'm a big fan of the Marvel game, and if I'm going to play the Marvel game or I'm going to play this, does this warrant me, buying it? Am I going to play it that much if I'm really heavily invested in Marvel? And the fact of the matter is, it's going to rest a lot on its theme. If you really don't care for this movie, if you've never seen this movie, I don't know that this game is for you. But if you're like me and you really like the movie, and it's just goofy fun, and the characters are so over the top and silly, and I think you'll like it. I think there's some strong stuff here for a legendary game. Again, I'm constantly amazed at what they can do with legendary games and how they can integrate themes into legendary games and make it work and make it just so much fun. That's a question you got to ask for yourself. Do you like the movie? Again, it comes down to theme. If you like the movie, you will like this game. If you don't like the movie, then, or you've never seen the movie, it's not for you. So I'm just going to say, try it before you buy it. It is an incredibly positive try it before you buy it, because I really like this game. I had a lot of fun with it. I love every legendary game. I've never played a legendary game or a legendary expansion I did not like. Some I like more than others, but this one, having said that, probably my least favorite legendary game that I've played of the standalone games. It's probably my least favorite, but still, it's head and shoulders above so many other games out there. It really is. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. We are The Discriminating Gamer, and hey, how did you get up there?
Wasn't easy.
Please somebody help me on my feet again. And I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band.
I feel like I'm a Han Solo on the streets, but a Chewbacca in the sheets.